Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the channel Off the Underside. We've got a very special edition tonight of the podcast. Me and Davey are joined by a couple of other podcasters, fellow podcasters, Scottish football podcasters, who are really good at the game and really enjoy talking to Robbie as always. Robbie, how you doing, pal?
I'm doing very well, Jimmy. Thanks again for the invite on. It's a magical weekend coming up. I'm sure we'll get into it, but cheers for the invite.
No bother at all, mate. I have not spoke to you since the cup final, which is probably a good thing, mate. You know what I mean? I've kind of really bothered with your gloating for weeks and weeks. So, so we'll give that a wee bit of time before we've met up again, mate. But did you enjoy that weekend? I take it, aye?
Yeah, of course. It was a very special weekend. I see you've not invited Ryan back on. I'm assuming you don't want any more of his gloating for the rest of the season. But
I can only fucking take one ease at a time, to be honest. So.
No, obviously it was a brilliant weekend, to be honest. The whole week. I mean, we spoke about it on the show. I think for the semi-final, it was kind of like that feeling, you know, that we absolutely played Motherwell off the park, and then, of course, you didn't really know what you were getting yourself to. But no, it was a brilliant weekend, and we'll be hoping to go for the double this time.
No, that's it, mate. That's it. You know what I mean? St Mirren could be double winners and yet not even make the top six. So could be another St Johnstone actually, but you never know. You know what I mean?
It might not even be in the Premiership, to be honest, if we keep playing.
Well, that's another thing, isn't it? Possibly. But so Robbie's back on again, and we're joined by a debutant of the Underside tonight. Joined by Ethan, who is on the Dugout podcast. How you doing, Ethan?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on, Jamie and David, and thank you very much for the kind words as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the cup weekend. Hopefully, some cup drama, because that's what we look forward to in these early rounds. Some upsets, and I think there's potentially some on the cards, and I'm sure we'll touch on them throughout the show.
Definitely, mate. That's a good starting point there. The cups. I mean, I always enjoy the cups. I mean, I know that even during England, the FA Cup is getting a bit kind of ridiculed at the moment. The people believe it's lost its passion or that. For me personally, I think it's brilliant. You look at the Macclesfield result last week against Crystal Palace. That was brilliant. Loved it. You know what I mean? Putting the holders out, everything that went away that. You know, and I love the Scottish Cup as well. But Ethan, that's a good place to start, mate. So, have you always enjoyed the cup then?
Yeah, I think the cup's something that has to be part of football and gives the opportunity for teams in lower divisions to get a chance to play against teams they wouldn't usually, and that's what it's all about. You even look further wide, obviously you mentioned Crystal Palace, but Real Madrid losing to Albacete, I think it was, the second division team the other night, PSG losing at home to their rivals, or their derby team, Paris FC, who are just across the road. Stuff like that wouldn't happen in a usual league game, or maybe it would, but it'd be just another league game, whereas the cups, you only get one chance, as we know, and hopefully there's some upsets. Maybe not, I'd imagine, to those scales. I don't see Celtic or Rangers failing to win, but you never know. We've had stranger things happen, so yeah, it'll be a funny old weekend regardless, I think. I think you're muted, Jamie.
Oh, sorry. Don't know what happened there. I just went on. But David, what about you? Are you a fan of the cup?
No.
No, you can't.
No, it's not that I'm not a fan of it, mate, but you touched on the English one. They've took this pure soul, the life and soul at the English Cup. No replays, no nothing. Get it done, earn done me, because they've got 150 games to play a season. So that's all the whole reason the FA Cup shite-ish for the last few years. But you never know. I'm just another game in it.
Mate, I know what you're saying, but like, I do enjoy it.
We've got Aaron, so Aaron will get half that gate receipt, which is good for them.
Aye, definitely, that's a good side of that as well.
And then there was a high Exeter asked Man City for Mayor, didn't they? And they tell me to fuck off.
Would they?
Aye, I'm sure they asked for more money and they get dealt to both. Whereas I think Crystal Palace tell Macclesfield they could have theirs.
Right, okay. Fair enough. But I know but I mean, I do know what you're saying, that side of it and stuff, but I just like the whole magic of it, you know what I mean? Like, you look back in some of the highlights of the years, you know, you look at Wembley, games at Wembley and all that, and the highlight is, you grew up watching that stuff, do you know what I mean? So I just don't, I know it's not, mate, but I try and make it the same. I try and keep it like that. What about you, Robbie boy? You a fan?
Aye, I'm a massive fan of the cups. I think when you do, you know, come for supporting a team like St Mirren, And like you look last season's Aberdeen win the Scottish Cup, you look a couple of years ago, the big one for me, St Johnstone. I know it was under sort of different circumstances and all the rest of it, but you know that moment, that's moments that are going to live with St Johnstone fans for as long as they live. You know, Aberdeen, that Scottish Cup win under Jimmy Tilleen, that's going to live with them for as long as they live. So, the magic of the cup for me has always been there. You know, there's been a few good surprises as well in cup competitions over the years. You know, sorry to say there, but the one that springs to mind is obviously Rangers Queen's Park in the cup. That was some monumental upset that I don't think I've ever seen before. But I just think the magic of the cup. I think it springs up so many surprises. You know, I remember Inverness getting to the final against Celtic, and you know, moments like that don't come around very often. So I absolutely love it.
Aye, I'm the same, mate. And you know, you mentioned Queen's Park there, Inverness beating Celtic back in the late 90s. That was a terrible one, you know what I mean? Inverness go ballistic, Celtic are atrocious. That was the headline. Under John Barnes. Mark Viduka refused to come out at half time and that kind of stuff. So you know what I mean, it brings up big shocks. It can happen, but I agree with you, Robert. I don't think there'll be many shocks this weekend, to be honest. But we'll see. Ethan, the first game that's on is tomorrow night. It's Rangers against Annan. Obviously Rangers will be getting into that game hot favourites. I was looking at Annan, they're actually 7th in the league at the moment. They've not played since the 27th of December. The last few games have been called off through the weather and stuff. How do you think that will have an impact on how they perform tomorrow?
Yeah, both probably positively and negatively. That there'll be more. They'll have more in the tank, maybe you could say, to maybe last longer. But then again, you look at it and you could say they're not as sharp because they haven't got any sort of first team football minutes in a competitive fashion in the league. But yeah, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for Annan going to Ibrox, of course it is, and I think it's a good chance for Danny Rowe to rotate the Rangers squad, possibly give the two no sign at two. It's just two at the minute, isn't it? I don't think the third's been announced yet.
One will not play, mate. He's injured.
Oh, is he? Right, okay. Well, one no signings to come in, and then some of the other players who haven't maybe had as much of a chance recently. So, yeah, that's what the cup is for teams like Rangers and Celtic nowadays. But, yeah, I can't see anything but a Rangers win in comfortable fashion, to be quite honest.
And what an occasion it is for the Annan fans in that as well, to travel up and, you know, go to the game, experience that kind of atmosphere and see their team perform at Ibrox, you know what I mean? So that's the spirit of the cup as well.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that. And obviously I think they were at home to Rangers looking at it in 2022 in the Scottish Cup, Annan, so they get the reverse tie, and obviously as we were talking about the gate receipts is a big thing for a club like Annan, so especially when they've obviously missed out probably on quite a few gate receipts for the games getting cancelled, and obviously they'll get them back in the end, but it's good to have money in the bank rather than waiting for it round the corner, especially for teams in League Two and the lower leagues.
Definitely, mate, agreed. Davey, obviously, like I said, Rangers have got to the game hot favourites and that. Do you think they'll put a very kind of a young team out, a weakened team out?
Don't know, but well, it will be weakened because it will not be the usual players that's been playing now, but I can see them maybe playing the ones who once ready. Danilo, Cameron. I can see these boys getting a chance tomorrow, but I don't know, Jamie, until they might take it serious and put Rasky and Tavernier, everybody out, you know what I mean? So I don't know, mate. One starting, Liam Kelly's got to play.
Well, I think that's already been confirmed because I've seen it at a press conference on earlier on. He was asked about it.
There you go, then.
Aye.
But
I mean, it's a good opportunity for the bigger teams to, you know, put young guys out there or guys that aren't really getting in the team and give them an opportunity. You know, I mean, you mentioned Danilo there. Danilo goes and gets a couple of goals tomorrow. You know what I mean? That could give him confidence going forward in the season.
No, that'll keep themselves confidence to buy him. So you don't think there's any
chance of these guys coming in and putting in a statement?
While Cameron's getting muted to Aberdeen, playing in the by so we'll see what happens.
I seen he was linked to Kilmarnock the other day, him. So,
I thought we would have looked at him, to be honest with you, but
Right,
see guys
stay
like Lyle Cameron, though. That I mean, see if I was in their position, if you're in their position, you might be thinking to yourself, do you know what? I'm just going to keep fighting for my position here at Rangers because they potentially could go in and win the league. So you're thinking of possibly winning that league medal as well. Do you know what I mean? So if you go to Kilmarnock or something like that at this stage, Aberdeen, chances are you're not going to win anything. And then, but if you stick it, even if you stick around at Rangers, get the odd appearance here and there, you might get that league medal.
You don't need to make. Is it not 10 appearances you need to make
Well,
before
many
you
he made so far. Many he made.
Not that many, mate.
It's like,
Sure,
I think it's like 5 or 6. I was looking earlier. I think it's only like 5 or 6, but he still made a couple.
Right.
4.
Mhm.
But if he gets a run the team, you never know with injuries. You look at Celtic centre back situation at the minute. We've obviously recalled Stephen Welsh. I think that'll probably end up with him going back to Motherwell, hopefully for his sake. For probably, but then again, if there's an injury in between Austin Trusty and Liam Scales, then he's probably going to be in, because I think we've seen Dane Murray at Tynecastle's maybe not up to what Celtic need. But yeah, I think Lyle Cameron would probably be a great addition to almost any team in the league out with Rangers and Celtic. So yeah, I think he's shown over the last few years he's a really good player in this league, but obviously he doesn't fit into the Danny Rowe's immediate plans. The other interesting thing I just noticed with Rangers is they've obviously got the European game midweek, but that doesn't have anything riding on it in the context of course, you want to go over, you want to get a result at home, but in terms of the game actually mattering for anything, it doesn't really. So it'll be interesting to see how he rotates the squad across those 2 games, because big expectation to beat Annan. There'll still be a big expectation to beat Ludogorets, but less so in the fact that it doesn't really mean much.
That's a good point, Ron. That's a good point, because obviously it's a great chance actually this week then for Danny Rowe to utilise his squad and see what everybody's made of and stuff. Do you know what I mean? Going forward in the season, aye. So that's 2 games that they could experiment. Yeah. So that's good, Tony. That's good. That's
I
point.
don't think you'll experiment with the European game. I think it'll just be tried and tested in that game, mate, the way it has been. It's the same team he's put out nearly every game.
Well, you're playing for pride and all that, aren't you, in Europe at times? So
yeah, I agree, but I just thought it was a point.
I
completely agree with David. I think it will be probably Rangers' strongest team that Danny Rose stuck by for most of his tenure. That'll go out for both of those games, because obviously it's back to back, travelling over to Portugal the following week after they play Dundee at home.
Definitely, mate. Robbie, I want to go into Saturday. My pick of the games actually is the early kickoff, Dunfermline against Hibs, the Neil Lennon derby, as I like to call it. What do you think of that game? I mean, that's going to be a tough place for Hibs to go. East End Park, 12:30. That'll be packed out. You know, they'll all be up for it. And like I say, the Neil Lennon factor.
Aye, 100%. That's probably my pick as well, mate. I was kind of looking at, where could there be shockers, and there's not too many to pick for. I think another one's potentially Tannadice, but I definitely think Dunfermline v Hibs is going to be a cracking game. I'm glad it's been picked for the telly. I think you factor in everything that's happened to, Neil this season, and, of course, we all hope he's all right and stuff like that. I know it's been a tough time. I did see one away at Raith Rovers, which is a brilliant result, by the way. Dougie Emery really had them flying at the beginning of his tenure there. So to go away and 1-2-1 was quite good. But it'll be hoping for an upset. And to be honest, I keep saying this, I don't really know what we're going to get with Hibs. I think they've been on a good run of form since winning the derby against Hearts a few weeks ago. But, the Hibs are always the team that you can see having that sort of slip-up and losing that bit of momentum. And if it is going to happen, I think it is going to be this weekend. But no, it's going to be a fascinating game. I'm going to assume it's going to be sold out for either side. Hibs will obviously take a good support, so it's going to be a cracker.
Agreed, mate. It should be good, man. That's a good point, about the Hibs form and stuff like that. I mean, the cup at the weekend, you're putting everything else aside, So Hibs are doing not too bad in the league. I've noticed earlier on Dunfermline are 5th in the league at the moment, so obviously they've still got a lot to play for. I'm sure they've got their eyes on the playoffs and stuff like that. So, I mean, Davey, do you think that, you know, the league form matters when you go into league, you know, cup games like this, or is it just kind of the form's out the window and it's just who's better on the day?
No, really, mate, because Lennon could have them up for the game, and David Gray might be just treating it as any other game. So I don't think league form matters, mate, or league positions, because we've seen it all before, haven't we? But I think I'm not going to agree with you on this. I think Hibs will do them.
Yeah, Hibs will win it comfortably, right?
Aye, mate. I think it'll be a Premiership team to knock Hibs at the Scottish Cup.
I think
What's your thoughts on that, Ethan?
Yeah, just to jump in before Robbie. Yeah, I think Hibs will win. And I think they'll have too much for Dunfermline. I think Dunfermline will possibly make it difficult for Hibs, but I think Hibs are in a really good moment, probably the best moment of the season. Certainly domestically, they started really well in Europe and got a few impressive results, but I think this is the best form they've been in the league after beating Hearts, Aberdeen, and getting a decent point against the Motherwell, who are a really good team as well. So, yeah, but I can see why it's the potential upset. Neil Lennon, his old team, coming back to town, and yeah, they'll make it difficult because Dunfermline are a good team, or a decent team in the Championship, should I say. But yeah, I think Hibernian or Hibs should have too much for them.
I think, Jamie, you know, we were mentioning on the show earlier about, you know, St Johnstone winning the cup and Aberdeen doing it and all this and that. I think what you'll find is Hibs fans are probably quite thirsty for this as well. They'll be looking last time 2016. Hibs, they like to consider themselves one of the biggest clubs in the country. They need to start adding a bit of silverweight to the cabinet, and it's something David Gray's no done yet. Obviously done it as a player in 2016. I don't need to remind Hibs fans of that, but in terms of his managerial career, you know, I'm pretty sure him and every Hibs fan will be pretty hungry to try and win more silverware.
Definitely, mate. I mean, I'm happy to talk about that 2016 game for the rest of the show if you want. What about you, Davey? You alright with that?
Mate.
Aye, I'll talk. I'll just leave it at me.
You want to talk about the Scottish Cup, so you get beat in when we won in the league?
Nah, mate. Just want to talk about 2016. Robbie, is there any other potential banana skins that you can look at this weekend that you think might be an upset? You mentioned Tannadice. United gone now?
I'm really, Jamie, I know the sort of form's been tipsy-turny for Scott Brown this season, but I do like it. I like the way they set up. I like the way Scott Brown sets his teams up. I think the other side that can cause an upset, and Dundee United aren't looking too great, to be honest with you right now. So I'd maybe tip my hat off for that game. I'm looking at Camelon Juniors hosting Elgin at home, you know, and it's no the ultimate upset, but you know, it's a non-league team taking on a League Two team, so I think that could be an upset, of course. You know, you're looking elsewhere. Maybe Stranraer beat Queen's Park. I know Queen's Park have been a bit topsy-turvy. I'm looking at Livingston. As much as two Premiership teams, I think Livingston beating anybody right now would be an upset, to be honest with you. And I think Davey will be fancying his chances. But no, apart from that, not really anybody else. Maybe Motherwell v Ross County. I know that's a bit of a roll shout, considering how well Motherwell are playing, but Stuart Kettlewell seems to have flicked that switch back on at County, so maybe that could be a place for an upset as well.
Yeah,
Robbie, yourself, Stephen, can you see that now?
Yeah, I agree with most of what Robbie said. Obviously, Kettlewell going back to Fir Park will be really interesting as well. One that I don't know if you could say is an upset. Well, you can't say it's an upset because they're in the same league, but based on the form recently, it would be Kilmarnock maybe beating Dundee, because Neil McCann, he got a decent result, not the best result against Livingston in his opening game, but obviously he was the manager and previously a player at Dundee, so it'd be a great place for him to start off his winning career at Kilmarnock. So that could possibly be one. What else? Stenhousemuir against Greenock Morton could be one. Morton not in very good form. Stenhousemuir obviously been very good this season. So yeah, that's the ones. But they're all really, most of them are tough to call games, which is good with a few double Premiership ties as well.
The game I'm taking his team up to Aberdeen is another interesting game, and on the Sunday I think the girl fancy his chances against an Aberdeen team that, as far as we know, will still have Peter Levine in for the weekend, so maybe that could be another upset.
Definitely. What's your thoughts on these shouts, Davey? You get any opinions on any of them?
Nah, mate. I've got to be what they're saying, but most of the Premier League teams will win against all the lower league teams. That's what I think. Kilmarnock have won in 14. Livingston's no won in 18. Do you know what I mean? Dundee United's only 1 point in 6 games or something like that. So, Ayr United is probably the biggest one.
Since Mendy's really mentioned it, I'll fling it into the hat just for talking sake, Auchinleck Talbot, of course, hosting Celtic. Now, I don't
fling it in no fucking hat. You'll get that right out of the hat.
If was here, I would say aye.
Not like I don't think there's going to be an upset by any means, but it's there to be talked about, and it's at Rugby Park, Auchinleck Talbot. You know, I don't know their attendance, and I don't know theirs to Celtics, but you know, you're there to be in the cup. Well, we've seen it happen with Rangers and Queen's Park. You know, I know it's a pretty drastic, bigger size, right enough, but you know, they're not going to turn up and let Celtic roll them out. You know, they're going to at least try. So, it's another one of their games.
Stranger things have happened, mate. The plastic pitch, obviously, Celtic will weaken the team in that as well, and they've not been on great form the first team. So, mate, stranger things have happened. You never ever know. I can't see it myself. I agree with Davey. I think that most of the teams that are expected to win will win. But what about, I was looking at this one here, Spartans against Inverness. It could be a shout.
Yeah. Right. Spartans, they're top of League 2, aren't they, right now? Having a very decent season, and of course I think East Kilbride with it to take the league. So maybe they'll fancy their chances. Inverness, I've no go to really see them, to be honest with you. I don't think they've won in 3 or 4 now. It'll be a game where if you're going to see an upset, it'll be somewhere like that. You know, I think Thistle will take care of Montrose, although Thistle have started rocking a wee bit under Wilson as well. So I definitely think on that Saturday, I think there'll be a few more surprises than people think, to be honest.
I think there will be the odd one. I mean, we mentioned earlier about does form matter and, you know, does league form matter and all that, but, you know, maybe looking at these fixtures, right, you've got Hearts against Falkirk. Hearts are in a title race for the first time in a long, long time. You know, we're in January. They'll be used to getting into a Scottish Cup game in January being in a title race, so they potentially could take their eye off the ball.
Yeah, Falkirk were excellent last night and really should have taken something from the game against Celtic. At the very least, probably deserved a draw. And I think they're on a really excellent run at the minute as well. So they could go to Tynecastle and cause an upset. I still fancy Hearts, but then again, I don't think anyone fancied Hearts to go out of the first knockout round of the League Cup to St Mirren and Paisley. So you never know with these kind of things. And obviously, I think it would be fair that Hearts' priority lies somewhere else at the minute, as you said, Jamie. So yeah, I think that could be one, but I still fancy Hearts to have too much. I think they've got an excellent squad, and even some of the players they could bring in that aren't been starting. I haven't started the last game, like Magnuson obviously comes off the bench and gets a goal and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think they'll have too much for Falkirk, but I don't think John McGlynn will make it easy against these old employers.
Definitely. Just got to these comments here. David Grant, how you doing, David? To win a Scottish League medal, you have to play at least 25% of the games in the season. In England, it's only 5 games to receive a medal. Okay, so 25% of the games, that's quite a lot. Then I don't think boys like Lyle Cameron will get that amount of games, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what 9. Well, no, just
that's
10 games. No, it's not. It's not
12. I can't see him getting that. John Kerr, how you doing, John? Do us Ayr United beat Dundee United on Saturday? Well, Robbie thinks we've got a chance. I think we all think Ayr United have got a chance, eh?
Yep.
I mean,
they won 4-1 during the week, didn't they, in the Challenge Cup?
And obviously with Scott Brown's experience as manager and stuff like that, they could go to Tynecastle, particularly with obviously Dundee United's form at the moment. But you never know. You never know what could happen. But Partick Thistle against Montrose again. Partick Thistle, they're going for the league in the championship, so they could potentially take their eye off the ball against Montrose, Davey.
I don't think so, but they could.
I certainly think for Wilson, it's the ship's starting to rock a wee bit. I get that Dingwall's not exactly a easy place to go under the new manager and all that. Of course, I think somebody put in the comments they did lose to Inverness. I forgot it was a Challenge Cup. I thought they just drew for each, but I that could be where one of the upsets come. And you're opening up to the two Premiership ties. Realistically, Dundee and St Mirren are going to be back to go and get away wins. Livingston, Kilmarnock, and both clubs will probably be quite disappointed if they don't. But that's the magic of the cup. If David Martindale can get through that game against St Mirren, obviously play them in the league a couple of days later, maybe he'll fancy his chances at a cup run. It's something that at this point probably would make Livingston fans season, because I don't see them getting into the relegation zone, to be honest. They'll finish one of the bottom two come the end of the season, I think. So they maybe need a cup win to try and at least give the fans some sort of positive.
Let's talk about if Livingston do beat St Mirren tomorrow. Saturday. I'm not obviously saying there's got to be any pressure on Stephen Robinson, mate. He's done an amazing job. It'd be ridiculous to even say that, right? But how does St Mirren turn this form around? If you get put out a cup on Saturday, the league form's really poor at the moment. Obviously, you did win the League Cup, but how do you possibly turn this kind of form around?
It's a difficult question to answer. I mean, look, Jamie, you're the most sensible person I've heard talk about it. Somebody commented earlier that it's only a matter of time before he gets the sack, and I just kind of burst out laughing because I can't believe some of our fans genuinely think that's ever a possibility. I mean,
Football fans, mate, they've got a very small memory. You know what I mean? A very, very short memory.
It's wild. I think it's so difficult when there's so many different things that don't go your way, and I'm not trying to whip at the excuse book with VAR calls or injuries or all the sorts, but when players are getting constantly dragged down by these bizarre calls and all the rest, it can take a hit. And to be honest with you, I would like to say this has only been a recent cause and this has only been a recent thing that's caused this, but it's for the start of the season, really. I'm not going to strip away the cup win, of course, no, because we deserve to enjoy that moment. But you look past the cup and you look at sole league form, we're actually having a really poor season on the face of it. And of course, you add the cup win into that and it becomes significantly better. But we need to start picking up wins soon. And if we don't, I think we're already on the league relegation battle, but we'll continue to be in there. And especially if we can't win away at Livingston. If we're losing Tuesday night in the league, the alarm bells will be ringing for some of the players. Robinson, I don't like using the term throwing them under the bus, but he made his feelings perfectly clear by saying they made him look stupid last night at Tynecastle, and they did, to be honest with you. Watch both the goals that Hearts scored. Not sure what the defence is doing in either of them, to be honest with you. The fact we can't capitalise on Hearts being a man down, I suppose you could say it's credit Hearts, but disappointing for our end as well. So, we just... The way you turn it around, Jamie, is you win games like this. You win games where you're expected to win. You win games where you need to win. Apparently, deals are off now for players that we were meant to sign. I know Josh Ginnelly and Jake Young were two signings that were meant to be in before the weekend. Neither of them have been announced yet. So I don't imagine we're going to see MD New in for the game. But it's as simple as we need to win against a Livingston team that really don't win right now. So it's got a must-win feeling about it, to be honest.
Seems like float or sink for the players after what Stephen Robinson said. It seems like it either could go through for him, and he, like he said, and I think that post-match interview you're referring to, Robbie, he said, I expected a reaction from the players tonight, but now I expect in the next game. Well, you could say he did throw them under the bus, so the players might down tools now, and it's hard to think that, considering we're only not even a couple months after lifting the League Cup and the highs of that. But football is a very fast changing game, and I don't expect the St Mirren players to down tools, but players have so much power nowadays, and it could be something that happens over the next few games, or they could go and fight for their manager and start winning games again, like I think everybody expects them to and thinks they're capable of.
Somebody made a really good point. This time last season, getting into Scottish Cup weekend, we'd lost 4 in a row. We'd lost at home to Dundee United 1-0. We were looking really flat, really deflated, and we went and won in the cup game. We only lost 4 games for that point for the rest of the season. So football is a quick game; it can change. Not to mention the fact that if you're trying to look at any positive, I'd argue we've played 4 of the most informed teams in the country in the last 4 games, in Rangers, Falkirk, Hearts, and Motherwell. 4 very tough teams that I think we should be losing at home to Falkirk 2-0. I don't, but they're 4 very good teams this season. So you're looking at positives. Are trying to anyway it's not as if we've played easy teams that we should be wiping the floor with. So I'm no one of these fans, guys, that are going to lose the head and, you know, alarm bells, Robinson out, this and that, and all the rest of it. I was annoyed last night after the game because that happens. After your team loses, you know, you get annoyed. But I'm never going to be one of these guys that want Robinson sacked, and I never would, to be honest.
Nah, he's got far too much in the bank. You know what I mean? He's got too much credit in the bank for anybody even considering that. I mean, you know, these fans that think things like that. You know, if you were to sack Stephen Robinson tomorrow, where do you go for that? You know what I mean? Where do you get a manager that's going to come in and have that sort of influence and get you these sort of league positions and win you trophies? You know, it's like impossible to go and get that. You know what I mean? Straight away.
Aye,
Yeah.
exactly. And you're no, sorry, Ethan. I was just going to say, you know, you're not going to get that. You're going to. And realistically, I think one or two things happen when Robinson does eventually leave. And I do think it will by the end of the season, no matter what happens. I think he will see the certain move on. To his own credit, by the way. But I think we either go for Scott Brown or Stephen McGinn. And I've said that to a few people. I think that's either two next choices. And Jamie, you're right. You're not going to win a cup with Scott Brown or Stephen McGinn. They're two young coaches. They're two inexperienced coaches at the Premiership level. But I think it's a sensible route to go down at the end of the season if that obviously does happen. But you'd be very silly to sack Stephen Robertson. I don't think John Needham would allow that to happen either, to be honest. I think being a Sunderland fan himself, he'll know how important that cup win was and how important Stephen is to the club as well.
You look at Aberdeen, look at Jimmy Tulane, he gets 6 months, didn't he? After winning the Scottish Cup, and that's why he never got sacked, I think, earlier, because they kept talking about the cup win.
Aye, and Robinson will turn it around. I have no doubt. We will turn it around. We will start picking up wins. It's just a matter of when. And you know, if you do lose to Livingston twice in a matter of 4 days, I actually did to think about what the support's going to be like online. To be honest with you, it will become pretty toxic. I mean, you know, 3 more away games in a row, and then at home to Dundee and Hearts. The schedule doesn't get easier, but that's what Robinson's trying to build with these players. He's trying to build a team that can win against these tough teams that are rigid to play and hard to beat. And, you know, we make ourselves that, but we've not recently. So, it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks, I think.
It's a blip, you know what I mean? It happens in football sometimes. You know, if it's such an incredible couple of years and then all of a sudden things don't go exactly according to plan, even though you win a trophy, by the way, and people are calling for the guy's head, it's mental, but that's football, isn't it?
You've got short memory, mate. Nonsense was just a blip, and you were on every night shouting that man exact.
Nonsense didn't have anywhere near the credit in the bank that fucking Stephen Robinson's got, mate. Nonsense was a donkey. We all know Nonsense was a donkey. Don't even get me started on this.
In America. He finished 7th in the MLS.
Exactly. And yet we go and get him to go and win a championship in Scotland. It doesn't make any sense.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
You're right about the fans being fickle in that, because like some of the things you see online, even for your mob, Jamie, it's like league was finished, he's were out the title race, now it's back on, now he's are underdogs to win it, even though he's got the biggest squad, biggest wagey, but he's are underdogs to win it, do you know what I mean?
Well, since you mentioned that, I seen Chris Boyd
Do you call me Corey?
Sorry?
Do you call me Corey?
No. I said sorry. I thought I interrupted somebody. I wouldn't go that far, Davey. So you mentioned that, but like last week, Ethan, sorry mate, I'm a wee bit naive when it comes to this. What team do you support?
I'm a Celtic fan.
No, you're a Celtic fan, right?
Oh, that's how you've been invited on.
Well, I didn't even know that, so there you go. So there's your theory out the window, mate, so shush. I seen Chris Boyd, Chris Sutton and Paul Hartley talking about this last week, how they feel Hearts are favourites for this title, and I'm baffled by that. I'm still baffled by that. Now, I know that the fact they're 6 points clear, but Celtic have still got to play them. You know, Rangers have still got to play them. There's games where then the split comes, and then they have to play all the rest of the top 6. To me, I still think Celtic are favourites for this. I really do. I think you've got all this experience. You know, you've got James Forrest, you've got Callum McGregor, Kasper Schmeichel, all that experience of winning league titles, winning trophies and all that. And there's still people out there thinking the Hearts are the favourites for this with 4 months to go in the season. I mean, I'm totally baffled. I don't know what you think.
I think I do actually think Hearts are favourites, and not favourites by maybe the margin that some other people think. I've seen people saying that Hearts are going to win the league and earlier than this. I think it'll go right down to the wire between all three of the teams. and I think it'll go right down to the split games. And the really entertaining thing about the split this year is you're also going to have Hibs and Motherwell in there, I'd imagine, who are pretty capable of taking points off any of the three teams on their day. So yeah, I think it's going to be an excellent end to the season. But I think if Celtic were to go out and sign players like a striker and
Don't talk daft, mate. We don't do things like that.
no, I know that's what I'm saying. I think if they were a competent sort of organisation in that way of recruiting players properly, then I think Celtic would be my favourites. But I don't really see them doing that. I don't think they'll bring in the quality required to match Hearts. And I think we've seen this season Hearts have beat Celtic and Rangers 4 times out of 4. I know we've not seen Martin O'Neill's team play against Hearts yet, which may be a little bit different because I think that's the best Celtic have played under any of the managers they've had this season. And I think Danny Rose Rangers are getting better by the game, but I still think Hearts are the favourites at the minute until I see Celtic or Rangers go and really take a good result away from Hearts, which we could see in a couple of weeks' time, less than that, when Celtic go to Tynecastle. But if Celtic were to go with a current squad, I just don't think that's good enough. I think Hearts would win again, in my opinion.
Jamie, I was going to ask you that. I even think Way signing's right, and I know the rumour mill's been about with Wilson and the rest of it. I don't believe that Celtic team can go to Tynecastle and win in 10 days, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. If Martin O'Neill goes to Tynecastle and picks up a win against Hearts, then you know what, fair enough, and maybe the league is fully back on for Celtic, and it already is, I suppose, in a way, but I think it would really mount pressure on Hearts then. But nothing right now, to me, is convincing me that Celtic can go to Tynecastle and pick up a win, to be honest.
So yeah, maybe I'm just blindly naive. I don't know. Maybe I'm just blind to the fact that Celtic used to Celtic winning all the years and stuff like that. But I can see Celtic going to Tynecastle and winning. I mean, even last night it was a tough venue. Falkirk played really, really well, but Celtic somehow managed to get the result. You know, we've been to Easter Road, we've won under Martin O'Neill. We've been to Easter Road and won. You know, we went to Feyenoord and won. You know, I think with this team, obviously we do need additions. It's blaringly obvious. Everybody knows about it. You know that we need a striker, we need a centre half, we need another winger. You know, but even with this current squad, I can see Celtic going to Tynecastle and getting a result. I really can. You know, we're not talking about guys here that are inexperienced and are used to winning games. You know, you've got Benjamin Nygren and Dyson Maeda and you know Konecti and Engels, Callum McGregor, all these guys are all used to going to these places and winning games. I mean, I totally know where you're coming from, though. I completely understand. But for me, I think that Martin O'Neill can get a team to perform at Tynecastle.
Well,
Yeah.
going on the performance last night, Jamie, I don't think if Falkirk had a striker, they would have beat us.
I know, mate. I know.
Do you know what I mean?
I know. I get it. But
it's
you know, you're talking about 2 weeks down the line here as well. But
you're talking, it's players as well, isn't it? It's not just down to the manager or Martin O'Neill can do this, Martin O'Neill can do that. He's putting the players on the park.
but he can make them competent. Nonsense didn't make the players competent. This is the exact same players.
I hate that. What can you do at Mirren look?
Jamie, what I would say is, I understand, by the way, and I've said this before, the Celtic players are more experienced enough to go and beat anybody there. It's partly and largely a group that have won the league title last season, so we know they can do it. What I would say is, I don't think Celtic under Martin O'Neill have faced an attack as strong as Hearts, and I think this is his biggest test, in my opinion, to be honest. I mean that in the league. I know obviously he's played in Europe and stuff, but solely in the league, I think this is his biggest challenge so far. And if he doesn't get it right defensively, Hearts will have a good day at the office, I think, because they've got just so many good attackers and midfielders in there that I think they can cause Celtic a real bother. And I think on the flip side, Celtic could do the same. I think under Martin O'Neill, you're right. They're competent players, getting back to their best. They look like, you know, they want to go out there and play for Celtic. They look like they want to win games. So it is going to be a good game. I just think on the defensive side, Jimmy, I remember under Nancy, and even when things only gone well, and under Rodgers and stuff, you know, every Celtic fan did rightly fling a lot of criticism at specific defenders. You know, I can remember the guys like Trusty and Scales getting criticised every week and all the rest of it. You know, they're going to need to be switched right on, because this isn't, and it's no disrespect to Falkirk or Dundee United or MDLs, but you're not turning up to play any of these guys. You're turning up to play top of the league, who are high flying, high on confidence, high on form. you're turning to play that team. So it's going to be a really interesting game.
I agree with you, mate. I know exactly where you're coming from, but I'm not a fan of Trusty at all. I actually think Trusty is the weakest defender we've got, to be honest. Well, maybe outside of like Dane Murray and stuff like that, but I'd rather put Stephen Welsh in there than Austin Trusty, to be honest. Even last night, I thought he was very, very poor. He's no decisive enough for me. He doesn't clear the ball when he should clear the ball. That last chance that Falkirk had in the last few minutes where Casper Schmeichel made a big save. I mean, to me, that was Austin Trusty's fault from the start. I mean, I know that Callum McGregor ended up getting in and putting it forward, and then the boy got a bit of space and hit the shot. But before it, Austin Trusty should have just cleared these lines, you know what I mean? And he's not decisive enough. He doesn't get rid of the ball and that. And, mate, it was proved. You're right at what you're saying. I mean, because he played at Tynecastle. It was Dane Murray and who played alongside Dane Murray that day? Austin Trusty played that day, didn't he?
No, Trusty was Brendan Rodgers chose to play Dane Murray instead.
So it was,
he was on the bench. So I think it was sort of Brendan Rodgers down in tools at that.
Don't even get me started on that clown and all, man. He's worse in my book than Wilfred Nancy. At least Wilfred Nancy was, he tried. Brendan Rodgers heard about Saudi Arabia and fucking last year, so he just decided, you know what, and see, instead of walking away again, I'm going to just do this the long way and pretend that I care, you know what I mean, and then just down tools and get sacked. But anyway, I digress. I'm going to ask you freeze a question this weekend. Give me the cup upset and give me the score, Davey. Start with you.
The cup upset?
Yes.
Ayr United at Tannadice, 2-1. Ayr United.
Okay. Ethan?
I'm going to go... Well, can I say Kilmarnock beating Dundee? Is that an upset?
No.
No,
not really.
Right, okay.
Really.
I'm going to say that the Camelon Juniors beating Elgin City then.
Ooh,
I'm going to go with
that will be a big upset.
A home win for the non-league side. I'm going to go with a 2-0 win as well.
Convincing.
Yep.
Robbie?
Davey stole mine, but I'll go to Dunfermline, and I think I'm going to put Dunfermline to beat Hibs 2-1.
Nice. I'll go for Spartans to beat Inverness 1-0.
I got a bonus point for Elton Lake 2-1.
Fucking dream on, mate. Dream on.
Just to fling one into the mix, I think Raith Rovers might beat Aberdeen on the Sunday game. I think that might be a possibility. So.
Definitely a possibility, man. Aberdeen are in great form. I thought Aberdeen were really poor. Twice against Rangers in a week, to be honest.
I only seen one of them and they were.
Before we go, I've got a couple of questions before we go. David, we'll start with you again. What is your best memory of the Scottish Cup? It doesn't need to be your own team, although I know it will be. What is your best memory of the Scottish Cup?
Rangers beating Dundee 1-0, and it was Newman Amerson. That's last game.
I was not expecting that. Why that game?
Don't know, mate. I'm just picking that game.
I was totally convinced.
I was 15, 16, out my banger. That one. And it was the long start. So mate.
I was fully expecting 2002 there, 3-2, Lovingcrans last minute.
No, mate, that was you for tunnels, isn't it? So it's take your pick.
Aye, but that's the big one, beating Celtic in the last minute in a cup
final.
I've
got other memories for that day, mate.
Alright, okay. Ethan?
I'm going to go with Tom Rogic's winner against Aberdeen when Celtic clinched the invincible treble. I'd have to go with that one.
And Robbie?
Aye, since St Mirren have not had great luck in the Scottish Cup, so since I can't really pick a cup winner, anything like that in the Scottish Cup, I'll go with a Fir Park Classic. I'll go 4 each when we beat them on penalties 3-2. That was a pretty wild game. Actually, one of our new signings, Alan Campbell, I remember scored Motherwell's 4th goal in that game. That was absolutely crazy. I'll fling into the mix as well, if you don't mind, St Johnstone winning the cup double, sealing the cup double, I should say. We speak about all the time in football. Money doesn't, money buys you titles, and people, spend all the money and all that in the world. Teams like St Johnstone don't have that, and to go and win a double, even in such a bizarre circumstance of a season, was really impressive. And as I said earlier, it's a moment that will probably live with St Johnstone fans for the rest of their lives. So.
Definitely, mate. Definitely.
And on that St Johnstone one, they were good. They came to Ibrox and beat us in penalties. Xander Clark was amazing.
That's right, I remember that game. That way extra time and penalties.
Sander
Nearly-
Plot
nearly
showed it.
scored.
Aye.
No, I think
Aye.
he headed it and then it hit off another Johnston player. and
But
went,
we should have had the game wrapped up. He made some of good saves.
Aye. Callum Davidson, he done really well that year, and obviously it's not quite worked out for him other places right enough, but to go on and win 2 cups that season is absolutely historic, man.
Aye.
I've got to agree with Ethan though. That's my favourite is Tom Rogic, last minute against Aberdeen. Absolutely amazing day. Ended up in Malone's that night up the town, steaming drunk. Get home about 3 a.m, singing Celtic songs. That was a great time. Great time. But that's what the cup's all about, man. That's what the cup's all about. Winning all these, getting all these trophies in it. But last thing before we go, I've got a wee. I don't know if you've been watching the podcast for the last few weeks, but we've been doing a thing where I've got a player up on Google here, right? And then I'll go to you first, Ethan, right? And then I'll say the team. So I'll go through his career, basically, right?
Yeah.
Starting with the first team, and then I'll go to Robbie with the second team, third team, and then it's the first to guess it. Is that all right?
Yeah. And
Right.
only the person who gets, so I can only guess, and then Robbie can only guess, or we can all.
No, you can only guess. So if I give you the team, you
Right.
make a guess, and then I'll go to Robbie.
Right.
He makes a guess, like that, right? And we've got some new merch coming out. We've got some mugs coming out and a pen. So whoever wins this, I've only asked this one player, and whoever wins, I'll send them a mug and a pen. All right.
Okay, sounds good.
Right, hold on. I just need to think of a player now. 'Cause
This
I've literally
isn't a
just thought
fix,
it.
mate. It's not telling me the answer.
Nah, I've literally just thought about it, man. But good way to wrap up. You know what I mean?
Aye.
Right, hold on. Let's think of somebody. I know you two are young boys, you know what I mean? So I need to think of somebody fairly recently.
We done this last night. We done this last night, by the way, and I made them miss the start of the game.
Aye, he did.
And see my last two, Robbie, it was Marcus Fraser and a younger for some reason.
For some reason, I wonder why that was, you know what I mean?
Did even pick we just started a thing on the obviously me and Ethan did a Scottish Football Zone, and we literally just started a segment on that where I give Ethan and the rest of the guys like a sort of guess a career where like, I'll give like transfer values and positions and all the rest. It's quite a fun game, so that should be good.
Aye.
I can't believe I get beat Corey the first week, man. He beat me the first week, couldn't believe it.
You lost to Jack Frost.
Aye, mate, Jack Frost beat us.
And you mentioned earlier on about wee Ryan. We'll get wee Ryan on again at some point. Don't be feeling bad, Ryan. End of the day, I can only get a couple of people on at a time, so don't be feeling all outraged. I know what you're like, Ryan.
I can't believe Corey never showed up the 1 week Ryan wasn't on. Usually there's the light taking pillars off him and that.
I know. Right, I've got a player here. Hopefully it's not too easy and it's not too hard. Should be fine, right? Right, Ethan, we'll start with you, mate. First team that he played for. I'll tell you how many games he played and all that as well, right? So it makes it slightly easier. So the first team he played for was Queen's Park and he played 52 times.
Oh. He played for Queen's Park. Don't know if he played for Queen's Park, but I'm just going to throw it out there because I know he played in the law leagues. I'm going to go with Lawrence Shankland.
Not Lawrence Shankland, mate. Good guess, though.
Wait, what? Did you just tell me how many goals he scored?
What's that?
Did you just tell me how many games he played? You didn't tell me how many goals he scored.
I didn't tell you how many goals. I just said 52. Robbie, then he moved on to Dundee United. And he played...
Andy Robertson.
You went too early now. He played 82 times for Dundee United.
Not
Not Andy Robertson, mate. Not Andy Robertson. Ethan, then he goes on to Partick Thistle and plays 69 times.
Am I not playing, no?
You're not playing. You're not getting a mug.
Right, so Queen's Park, then Dundee United. What was the third team, sorry?
Partick Thistle.
Partick Thistle. That would be... No, he didn't play for Dundee United, did he? I'm going to go with, I don't know, Blair Spittle.
And the winner is Ethan. Well done, mate.
What a shout.
Great
That's
shout.
a
Great
well
shout.
done.
Aye. Then we're on to play Ross County, Partick Thistle again on loan, Motherwell, and then currently at Hearts. But aye, it's a great shout, mate. Well done. Ethan, I'll send you a message on Twitter, mate, and you can send me your address and that, and I'll get that over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Looking
No
forward.
bother, mate. Right, guys, thanks very much for joining us. I hope this set you up for a nice, exciting Scottish Cup weekend. We hopefully do get some upsets, particularly at Ibrox, and we'll see what happens. Bye. See you all down the road. Cheerio.
Yeah.